Um, so thank you again, Erin, for providing. I mean, I swear I could talk to you for another hour.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah,
I can literally just snuggle in a blanket and just sit and listen to Erin.
I feel like we're all sitting here like children, you know, around their grandmother who's telling them a story. Just like, please, one more, Grandma.
Yeah.
I've talked about my inspiration when it comes to voice acting many times. And most of my stories tend to go towards the brooding, dark image, Kevin Conroy doing Batman in Batman the Animated Series. But that wasn't the only series that I really should give credit to. Oddly enough, it was a show by Disney, and that show was called Gargoyles. While many shows of this era tended to lean more towards episodic shows, everything resets back to zero by the end. The enemy is defeated, the bad guy is put away. No real changes to the show happen. Even Batman in itself had this particular formula when it came to that show. It was a great show. It was great acting. It was great writing. It was a real good introduction to Batman for a whole new generation. But something kind of was missing. Along comes Disney, and they want to make a show to kind of rival Batman. So even during their Disney afternoon block, which contained other shows which were like DuckTales, Darkwing Duck, Gummy Bears, they placed this one dark, complex story right at the end. If you don't know it, let me give you basically an overview of the stories. Gargoyles is based off of, you know, the gargoyles that you see in certain top buildings, you know. These are creatures from medieval times that as the sun rises, they turn into stone, and during the night, they protect their areas. Well, lo and behold, something happens, you know, there's some betrayal, there's some magic afoot that locks them in until a castle can rise above the clouds. Along comes this billionaire called David Xanatos, hears about this story about a castle going above the clouds and this power getting unleashed. So he decides to build a skyscraper as tall as the clouds and then put the castle back together piece by piece. So everything is put up top, everything is back where it is, stone by stone, and then the sun sets, and then the gargoyles re-rise, which is always an incredible scene. So now, they're running around New York City now in the 90s. So there's this exploration, there's this seeing the world with new eyes. And as things go, you start hearing of older characters that somehow survived, and you're dealing with primarily a lot of characters from Shakespearean literature. And it turns into such a complex storyline. Unfortunately, as the series went, it got made cheaper. There was certain budgeting issues. They had to start trimming down storylines, etc., etc. But you had such a great cast. You had, just to name a few, you had Keith David doing Goliath. You had Ed Asner in here. You had Jonathan Frakes, Marina Sirtis, who, I mean, don't misunderstand me. Marina Sirtis was great as Deanna Troi, but that particular character in Star Trek didn't have much depth. Desdemona, on the other hand, was an opportunity for this person to break through. So you had excellent writing. You had a rich well to pull from when it comes to Shakespeare. And you had this series that would take the audience and give them credit so they could follow these complex, great stories. And, I mean, don't misunderstand me. I'm also a huge, huge fan of Star Trek. So to hear names like Marina Sirtis, Jonathan Frakes, Michael Dorn was in this, Brent Spiner, Colm Meaney, who was Miles O'Brien, LeVar Burton. These are all people that made guest appearances in the shows, and they already had that chemistry from Star Trek, and they moved it on into this show. Unfortunately, like I said, as things went, the industry got in its own way. It was expensive to produce, it was expensive to animate, so they went in a different way. There was this other one called the Goliath Chronicles. Stay away from it, as we fans tend to not want to consider that part of the actual show itself. But if you have an opportunity, please check this show out. It's on Disney Plus, all 3 series. Again, stay away from Goliath Chronicles, and just sit back and relax and enjoy. Because as I experienced it for the first time back in October 24th, 1994, I hope to share that with everybody who decides to check this out. Okay, I'm done gushing over this show, and I've definitely gone a lot longer than I thought I would, so check it out if you get a sec, and then let's enjoy our show. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome, everybody, to Cold Read the Podcast, a show by voice actors for voice actors. That was my love letter to Gargoyles, the animated series.
We get to hear Zamoody rambles this time.
Yes.
Yay!
And you keep, I saw you during the intro, Renara, and a lot of those names went over your head, obviously.
I was like, I don't know who these people are. And I was following just the storyline of you describing it. I was like, okay, this is confusing as heck. What? We've gone from Gargoyles to suddenly in the sky to suddenly in New York. And I'm like, well, okay.
It's actually have you never seen Gargoyles?
Nope. I am a 1996 baby. I am tiny.
Oh, I get it. I'm sorry. So it's one of the most influential cartoons of my childhood as well. And Marina Sirtis, in particular, her performances, we sit in the same vocal register, but she always was like, oh my goodness, like when I grow up, I want to be you. Not her as Deanna Troi, like you said, which I do love Star Trek as well. Right. But like Desdemona. Holy crap, what she got to explore as an actor through this character. But basically, if you like the idea of like medieval creatures, like that Renaissance feel, basically the gargoyles were cursed, brought to New York City and brought back to life in modern New York City, which was in the 90s. Right. And so now they have to cope with being in New York in the 90s instead of Scotland from the Renaissance, or not Renaissance, but the because it was like the Macbeth,
medieval period, Dark Ages,
wherever Macbeth era is from, because Macbeth is a major character in this show. But it's like, seriously, you guys, quality, but not the Goliath Chronicles. Don't watch it. Don't do it.
We all agree on that one. And thank you, Erin, for the explanation. But yeah, if Michael Dorn was Worf, we've talked about Michael Dorn before. LeVar Burton was Geordi, the dude with the visor, and Brent was.
I know the characters. I just don't know the names of the actors in that because I'm not a true Trekkie. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it goes into a lot of Arthurian legend. There's a lot. I think you'd really love it, to be honest.
Honestly,
I have no doubt. It sounds right. It sounds right up my street.
Okay, well, let's go through the intro. Sorry about the little sidetrack, but yeah, I mean, I discovered it on Disney Plus very recently. I'm like, oh my god, I need to talk about the show because I'd love for them to bring it back. So if you get a chance, tune it in, give them the credit that they deserve. I'd love to see the show revived. As mentioned before, if you have any topics, anybody you want us to talk to, anything in particular, any questions for us, you can email us, ColdReadthePodcast@gmail.com, ColdReadthePodcast@gmail.com. You can also join our Discord. We have the link is in the description. Come on in. We'd love to have you. A lot of discussions that go on. Our daily memes again from Fire and Brimstone. I will say thank you again. Fire and Brimstone says, I will teach Hawke Star Trek at some point.
Nice.
That's
he
good.
is the encyclopedia, so I will be taught at some point.
There you go. We'd love to listen to your audio. If you have any audio, you can send it to us. We will listen to it. We will give you our point of view when it comes to any improvements or anything. So don't be afraid. We've done it to ourselves, and we've all improved because of it. With all that said and done, let's go ahead and get our weekly intros into our daily lives and see how we're doing. So Renara, I hear you're not feeling too well today.
No. I am,
and that's the show, folks.
Yeah.
For those listening, I am currently wrapped up in a very lovely, warm, fluffy blanket currently because I am ill as fuck. I hurt. The past few days have just been very, very stressful, but I managed to get in some auditions before I got ill this week.
Yay.
So I have done two voice acting and one singing one.
Ooh.
So I was like, yes, I've actually got, I
am so proud of you.
So hopefully that I've got also like a few saved because I was like, okay, I can't do them all in one go. And I want to do these like properly. So I did like 3 that were like I spent a good time on because if you do too much, then you start to sort of suffer and it gets a bit lackluster. And then you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. So I did that. I have almost finished the Knights of the Old Republic thing because I was like, right, I am getting this out of the way and done with. We are doing this. I am no longer procrastinating on doing my voiceover stuff. That's fucking go, because Eldurrino's sad face was too much. So
last week
it was when Eldurrino, I think it was either before or after the show when Eldurrino got kind of grumpy with me and told me I should start doing stuff for free because I keep doing stuff for free, and then that was just it was the line I needed and to cross, and then I got my butt kicked, and now I did some stuff. So
I would like to say I was not grumpy. I was aggressively positive.
Okay, fair enough.
I like that. Although I will accept any memes of Grumpy Dorino if anybody wants to start making them.
No, please don't, because I already have resting bitch face. Come on.
But either way, I think things are happening. I plan, and I'm sticking to having all of Skywind stuff finished before summer. I am pushing myself to have that completely finished and done. I've literally got my script back from the Dunmer, and I've literally have 9 lines left of that. So that is almost done, finished, complete, out of the way. Hey. The other 2 things that you heard me talk about, I had already agreed to do last year, and it was because they asked me to, and I was like, I can't say no at this point, because it was like, ooh, named character that gives the player character quests. You'll interact with my voice quite a lot with that one. And then Argonian, because I needed to expand my repertoire of monsters and voice textures and things like that. So I'm going, yes, I'm going to do those. But as I've said, I'm not doing any more on that. And I'm starting to get more confident in saying I'm not doing stuff for free anymore.
Good.
And I am getting there.
Yeah.
I'm just needing the fluff today because I feel a little rubbish. But I'm here.
Well, thank you for being here, Ren, and I hope you feel better. Dorino, how did your week go?
It was a little bit of a good amount of bad, though. But firstly, I just want to cover the fact that Renara said wubbish. And that makes me laugh because prior to the show, she was talking about how life has been very cruel to her lately, and wasn't sure if any of us believed in the godsy wadsy timey wimey thing. But anyways, that's a whole different.
This is what happens when I get ill. This is what happens when I get ill. My vowels start to go all childlike. Never mind. Continue.
It's hilarious. I find it amusing.
Content, bring it. Did you just raspberry us?
Yes, I did, and I'm not apologizing for it.
Fair enough.
No, that's all right. Yeah, there's your one for today. Anyways, so the good thing about this week was our good friend Matt Man is doing a Hotline Miami project. Where he's basically taking the story of that game and applying voice acting to it. And I fortunately got cast for one of the parts into it. So
super congratulations.
Thank you. I'm very excited because I absolutely love that game and I love the story behind it. So I hope anyways that I'll be able to do it justice. However, so you remember last week when I was telling you guys about this audiobook that I'm working on how there was some trouble with it, and then I forgave the guy and was like, all right, bud, if you want me to continue working, you gotta chill out. Well, he did not chill out for very long. Now the director is claiming that his bank account was hacked and lost all of his money, allegedly. which if you don't know how banks work, your money is insured and you're going to get it back. Like if in the chance that, there's some fraudulent activities. So yeah. Anyways, so he said, basically, I can't afford to pay anybody. And that really upset me, considering he was posting cameos that he was paying for, which are not cheap. They're usually starting around like $75 and up. But he was posting those repeatedly, and so I got a little fed up, and I submitted the first chapter, which I'm very proud of. I'm very excited, and I really hope you guys go listen to it, because there's a lot of work that went into it and a lot of great music that myself and another person worked on for this episode. But after this, I'm off the project, because I have not. I'm starting to feel very uncomfortable with how this guy operates, the fact that he would come up with such a tale, at least in my eyes, about why he can't afford to pay people. That's a little silly. I don't ever believe in like hiding things, especially when it comes to payment, and especially when it's a fun project. It's a hobby project, it's nothing crazy. But in any case, yeah. So gonna drop that. Super not thrilled about it, because I've really missed making music, and I was getting paid for it, and now I'm not, or at least until I find another project. But in any case, little distressing. I've been kind of grumpy about it for the past couple of days, but it was taking up all of my time, so I now have free time to do other things. Yeah, so I'm gonna go look for more work now. The end. Yeah.
Well, welcome, and thanks for being here.
Tell us about your week, Zamoody.
Jesus Christ. So,
yes, my son.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes. Left it off. So, I think my biggest
accidental Jesus Christ
accidental
moment.
Jesus, yes.
Sorry, my son is
Oh no, by all means.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Be right back. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. That was an interesting one. It's the first time for everything.
And that's the show, folks.
Yeah. So my wife was very on board with kicking my butt and making me come back down into the booth, but unfortunately life tended to get in the way. Between power outages, bad weather, life happening, issues with family, I've not been able to make it down here. I lost my car keys yesterday, which was a very, very interesting experience. So my washing machine was broken down last week, so I went to my sister-in-law's to do laundry. As I got out of the car, I brought food. I had some coffee for my wife. I had everything in. I was just like carrying everything out, and I don't remember what happened to my keys after that point. So from about 9 o'clock until 11:30, we were looking for keys that were just apparently fell out of the world. So it's been
into the back rooms.
Yeah, it's definitely in the back rooms. I think I was prepared, because I mean, I've noticed, I've said I've been in a funk for a while. There's been a lot of stuff going on, and I just have not been able to bring myself to go in there. And again, my booth is directly behind me, and every time I'm down here, I'm like looking at it, but I was ready to do it. It's just, unfortunately, life is a thing, and it gets in the way. Yeah. One of my commutes took me 3 hours to get home. Another one took me 2 hours, and it's just like by the time you get here, it's exhausted. So yeah. Stuff happens, and life goes on, and hopefully next week will be different.
It'll be fine.
Yes.
Yeah. I gotta say one quick thing. When it comes to motivating myself, at least, I've learned, like, I learned this from a famous author about overcoming writer's block. He basically says writer's block doesn't exist. It's literally you just thinking that everything that you're going to put out is bad. All you need to do is just start. Just put yourself in the booth and see where it goes from there.
Yeah. No, and again, you're not wrong, and I definitely see that that's a thing. And hopefully next week I will have better news, and that's my goal. So
we believe in you.
If it makes you feel any better, I also had a car key crisis this week. I was freaking out thinking that it went through the washer at the laundromat, and then they just never came home. And so I'm looking all around my apartment and my car and my fiance's car, and then I checked my jacket pocket on the jacket that I was wearing, and it was in there.
No. We went.
It was very sad.
4 grown adults scouring a house, flipping furniture, retracing steps, and the car was locked and alarmed, which means I hit the button at some point, or I dropped my keys and somebody hit the button for me, and I can't. It's just one of those things where it's like, what the fuck just happened? Pardon me for saying that, but I mean, we're a mature, so what the fuck am I talking about?
But I feel exactly. Yeah, but hey, it's almost like it only goes up from here. Like,
you're right, yes, exactly.
Better week, like, come on.
Yeah. After, I mean, the power outage was an interesting one. You get home and you've got no power for, because it rained again in Southern California. Go figure.
No way.
Right?
Crazy.
I know.
At least in snow.
And now that was again another Zamoody ramble, so I will take that one for Renara. As always, I'd like to say to our guest Erin again, thank you for being here. We appreciate your time. How has your week been?
So it's been nonstop. I'll just say that much. And so, some good, some bad. I'm going to focus on the good because I want to invite more of the bad to come in.
I got the covered.
Turbulent, emotional week where I had to readdress I'm being called to re-examine everything I'm doing in my life and being like, this doesn't work anymore. I have to make changes here. This isn't really serving me. I need to set new boundaries. So sometimes that's great. And you're making space for like new and exciting things that are coming into your life. And sometimes that's super hard because you're saying goodbye to things you don't even like really want to say goodbye to, but you have this compulsion to move into the next phase of your life. So I'm just in this major transition. And I have been for a while, but this is last month I moved to Dallas, Texas to work with the studios down there.
Nice.
And it was a total sudden, it wasn't on my radar because my plan by like the middle of this year at the latest was to be out in Los Angeles full time. But the universe was like, blah, 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 blah. Like that's super delayed at this moment.
Right.
The situation for going on over there. But in the meantime, I'm literally now living in Dallas and it's like bizarre. So last week I started a couple new classes that have revolutionized my approach towards acting and like super leveled up my game. And I'll drop the names for anybody who wants them. On Skills Hub, Trina Jensen's performance capture, motion capture class is so life-changing.
Wow, okay.
Sure.
It my whole body moves different in the booth now and I'm like, this is incredible. And then Kyle Phillips's class it's an in-person class in Dallas, helped a lot. It was like a tips and tricks for voiceover. And I was like, am I going to get anything out of this? The answer was yes. Like I absolutely was like, oh, this is great. I see things to level up now. This is awesome. And so starting those classes helped me. And then I at the same time, got 3 of the biggest auditions I've gotten in my life yet.
Wow. Nice.
I feel like I really killed them. I'm excited to hear back. One of them I booked and already recorded and was like, oh man, like so excited to share that. But I can't yet, but I'm like,
right.
But hope that was really fruitful. So things have just been, I've already moved on to this next phase of life and I'm just sort of phasing out stuff and welcoming in what wants to be here. And so that's where I'm at.
That's great.
That is absolutely, I mean, it's stellar to hear. For those individuals, and you're getting a lot of hype in chat, by the way, for those individuals that haven't met you or didn't listen to the last show, you want to give a kind of like an overview of how you got into it and where you are now?
Yeah, so brief overview. Hi, my name is Erinnicolelundquist. I didn't even introduce myself, but I'm sure it's on the screen somewhere.
Yes.
Right below your chin.
I'm Erinnicolelundquist. I'm a full-time professional voice actor. I had a background in theater, did some modeling, did some on camera. None of it really felt 100% for me. And I was working in production behind the scenes when I was discovered for my voice, started doing commercial voiceover, switched into character voice work, and I was like, this is it. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. So meanwhile, I was active duty military at the time. And so I built my entire voiceover career while I was building a military career. And the military was basically paying so that I could create art. And it hit the point where I was making more money in voiceover than I was in the military.
Wow.
And I fought my way out. And I was like, okay, it's time to move on to the next phase, which was prior to this new phase. And that was June of last year. So I've been full-time voiceover since June of 2022, doing it for a total of almost 8 years to get to like that point. And then some of my work includes work for Netflix. I was Ana Linares in High Heat, which was in the top 10 for 6 weeks. Like, it was just kind of exciting stuff. I'm Minthy in Lore Olympus, the official webtoon dub. I'm Amber the Ambulance in Moonbug's Go Buster, which Moonbug's also one of the biggest children's producers in the world. So I'm very excited about this new direction, getting to work live with some of the studios that are in Dallas, because it really does feel like a level up. It feels like it was time for me to move to a major hub because I was doing everything remote. And except for the Netflix show, I was traveling to Los Angeles to do that. But like that's where I'm at now, is like I'm living the dream, and it's happened, and I want to share everything I can with whoever also wants to live the dream.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think everybody sitting here would definitely love to.
Please.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, please. Give me the secret to success.
And I love how you refer to it as a level up. It's not. It's a great way of looking at it, just kind of like your steps and everything else. So I love your point of view.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, because the journey is never really finished. There's no such thing. I know we have awards for like best actor, best actress, best movie, best performance, best blah blah blah, but like, you're never the best. It doesn't exist. You're constantly, not only are you constantly a work in progress, that's what we're here to do, but your craft is always a work in progress. There's always something else to do. There's always more for you to learn. There's always more avenues to go in. And so following that feeling of what's going to serve me, what's going to bring me joy, what's going to make me fulfilled, it's trusting that intuition to get you to what you want to do. And I do think that people just need permission that it's okay to do that, and trust that sometimes you have to take those leaps of faith. Because this was this Dallas move, you guys. The reason why I'll talk a little bit about why it was rough, because I do think it's important to highlight some of the difficulties to make it a little bit more realistic. Like, I'm living this magic life. Like, so I'm living in Dallas, but I'm also paying for a house in another part of Texas where my children live because, because I needed to be in Dallas. We were already locked in another part of Texas to a place. So I'm actually kind of living this weird, almost like the divorced life where you have a 70-30 relationship. So I travel back every weekend to see my kids, but it is not what I ever thought. Like, if you tuned in last time, you heard how happy I was to have more time with my kids and to be with my kids and to like, and this is not a change that I had foreseen, but it was very necessary, not only for me and my career, but to give them a better life, because I'll be making more money and bringing in more jobs so that I can go to the next step and then, provide for them as a provider, because I am the sole provider for this family. So it's been crazy. It's been, but that emotionally, being a very involved mother, and then going to like bachelor life, almost like bachelor life, right? Like, I have a roomie and I get to design the house however I want, and it doesn't have to be childproof, and it's very weird. Like, I'm like, this is super strange.
Wow. And props to you for not completely uprooting and trying to make it all work together. It's very nice that it's important for them to be able to have that stability. So it's so awesome. Yeah. As a parent, I totally understand.
Thank you for understanding that, because I feel like, you're like, am I a bad mom? Like, you don't know.
Never.
And you never know. But that's the trick of parenthood. By the way, for those of you who want to be parents one day, you never know if you're doing it right. You never know if you're messing up your kid or if you're doing the right thing. You just got to go for it and just trust that, like, if you did do something wrong, that you'll be able to be there to work them through it in the future as well. Like, it's just like,
there's no scorecard at the end of the period. You don't get that.
At 18, like, I don't know why people, it's like, your kids are your kids forever. So.
Yeah. As I have a 2 17-year-olds and a 19-year-old now that we watch over. So as they get older, the problems just escalate. They don't get easier. I'll go back. I'd love to go back to like terrible 2s or 5, and that was the worst problem in the world. No. Now that
as a teaching assistant, I too understand this, because I deal with the said teenagers every day. So I do, to a degree, also understand that.
Yes, absolutely.
Not a mother.
I'm assuming it was a scary process, because you have to go out and you have to go to Dallas, and you've got to vet where you want to go and make sure that it's close to a commute. I'm assuming that you have to do.
Yeah. So it was very fated. Basically, I had a friend call me and say, hey, I have this position open in like my Walla group for this studio. If you were in Dallas, I could get you in this Walla group. And I was like, can I be in Dallas? And I started researching apartments. I started to be like, I can't pass it. Like, I felt that like, you have to do this. And I was like, okay,
this is your opportunity.
Let me check. I was like, you don't just get this chance. You're like, okay, let me just see. And so I was looking up how much that would cost me. And I was not happy with the idea of living with 8 roommates and not knowing who they are and not knowing the sound environment, because I'm still going to record from home. And so I called a trusted friend, and I was like, hello, trusted friend who's lived there for a while. Do you know if anyone's looking for a roommate? And trusted friend goes, actually, I need to move, and I'm looking for someone to take over my apartment.
Nice.
But this happened today. And I was like, what? So the day that I was looking was the day that they found out that they were like, they had an opportunity to move to another place. But I was like, well, I don't want to pay for this whole thing by myself. So I called the job offer friend, and I was like, friend A, are you looking for a roommate? Like, because I found a place. Did you want to move in with me? They're like, no, but I know someone. And I also knew this mutual friend. And so it just went bum, 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 bum. And it was very quick. So within like 2 weeks, it was, I only live here, like near the Austin area of Texas, which is about 3 to 4 hours away from Dallas. And I was like, okay, so I live in the Austin area of Texas. And now I have an apartment, like after 2 weeks, like I was like, what? That's how quick this happened.
Wow.
And so I've set up my booth. I've been managing the commute because I love driving, so it worked out. And adjusting to having a roommate that you don't know, and we're both voice actors, so trying to manage sound bleed and stuff like that, and like within an apartment when we're both recording at the same time, just things like that. The biggest fear was, are my kids going to be okay? I was like, are they going to be? But the answer is, because during the week they all go to school, they're not really home for a lot of time. The majority of their time home is on the weekends. So I get that quality time with them. And so it's been more forgiveness, like a lot of forgiveness of myself. Like, I'm not failing as a mom. I'm doing the best thing for the family. Like, everyone's on board. My whole family supports this. My kids are doing okay. I'm just like, it's more that psychological step.
Yeah.
And trust that you're not making a mistake. You just have to believe you're doing the right thing. You're following your path.
And as the kids grow up, they'll get to see all the amazing things you do. And then when they're old enough, they'll look back and they'll go, oh, so that's why mum was doing that or over there, and it will come full circle.
Yes, right. I completely agree. I haven't ruined, my kids are young, so I haven't ruined the magic that like cartoons have voice actors. So my kids know that I help make like cartoons. I help make video games, but they don't know exactly what I do. They also know I record, but they haven't put 2 and 2 together.
Right.
So, because Elsa's real, and like even non-human characters like Amber the Ambulance. My son watches that show, and doesn't realize that it's me, which is awesome. And then they're real characters in real worlds, which they're real to me too, but in a different way than that childlike everything is like somewhere. Like my kid still thinks when he's 10 he's gonna get a Pokemon. He's like ready, he's picked it out, his Pokemon, he's ready for the real one. A stuffy will not do. Like I was like, okay baby, we'll revisit when you're 10 years old.
I gotta say, I was the exact same way growing up, so I feel for that kid.
Oh man.
I've just got this image of he comes back with like a literal raccoon and goes, "I've got a Bidoof, guys. Look at this."
Why is it foaming at the mouth?
It's just a squirrel. I'm sorry. Here's your squirrel bit. This isn't what I wanted. I wanted Mewtwo. Yeah, I'm not bringing home Mewtwo, child.
Yeah, right.
You have a wonderful moment coming when your kids realize, I really wish that you get to be there when that happens, that mom's the one that's actually doing the voice of that character, and that's going to be so magical. Yeah, right.
Well, I was gonna say, is it going to be magical or is it going to be like disheartening? Because I know when I started getting into voice acting and I started really analyzing people's performances, I can't stop myself now. And so anytime I hear or I see someone doing voiceover, I can't put the two back together anymore. Like the curtain has been pulled down or drawn aside or whatever, and the whole jig is up. I don't know. It bums me out.
I do that for audiobooks now. So yeah, I understand.
Terrible.
I can't stop it.
The worst.
Fair.
I can't stop it. Yeah. So why'd you take a breath there? Sorry.
Right. So last time you were on, Erin, as much I love talking about your life and all the updates, but I did want to get to this because you really want to talk about it last episode. Yeah. When you were on last time, you had really talked about your adventure building up into getting more lucrative, I guess, for lack of better term, roles. And we never really got into the kind of the meat and the potatoes of that, because I know you really wanted to talk about securing jobs without representation, basically just doing straight out freelance. So please enlighten us.
Yeah. So I think where I left off, I gave a whole lot of great sources of work for beginners and for intermediate jobs. And then we had to stop right before I was like, there's another level. So what I found is through all of the work, it's my phrase, work begets work. Just putting out what you're already doing will draw not just oh, look, they're doing stuff, which is always good optics, but refining your craft and having that come through in your performances, and you're getting kind of a timeline of your progression. Other people notice that. And so I started getting direct emails. I started getting people coming into my inbox going hey, would you audition for this? Would you like to join this roster? And that's when I started to really go, rosters are the next step. Let me look into studio rosters. Am I ready for a professional level demo? Because I didn't want to join all these rosters with my homemade demos, which is what I had been booking work off of. Right. That being said, I did book the Netflix job off of YouTube manga dubs. They're official manga dubs from Japan, so they're not fan dubs. They are
gotcha.
Legitimate work, but they don't pay very well. But it's consistent, and it was an opportunity to practice and to build my craft. So I looked at it more as this is a practicing opportunity. And eventually I cut together a visual reel, and that's when I saw this ad, which was on Facebook and eventually LinkedIn. I saw the same ad on both places for this. What I didn't know was a Netflix job. I applied. That was all that I had to give, but they cast me off of that. And that was not well paid. That was small indie. I would literally label it as small paid indie project.
Oh. Wow.
that's what I'm saying, where I'm like, just keep clips of your work, like things you're really proud of, things that you've worked with coaches on, things that your coach goes, hey, that was really good. Bookmark that stuff. Because you never know when someone's going to go, hey, do you have any samples? And be like, yes, I have this sample. And showing yourself in a job is so valuable, even if it doesn't have to pay $250, 2-hour minimum, like whatever. Like it could pay $5, but if your performance is stellar, which is unfortunate, like please don't take a ton of $5 jobs. This isn't me endorsing paying voice actors $5. Like I'm not on Fiverr. You know what I mean?
No Fiverr.
Like,
Yeah.
No shade about it, but I'm just like, I understand that we start at a point and have to build. So getting direct emails and also LinkedIn became super vital. So when you're lower indie or like you're building your career, I still encourage people to research how LinkedIn works. Start properly building a profile, super professional. If you're linking other socials to your LinkedIn, make sure they're all kind of just as professional as your LinkedIn. It's important to separate a lot of the personal nonsense, especially because LinkedIn is so high visibility to high paying jobs. I've gotten many now AAA games, union projects, direct emailing me, having found me on LinkedIn, and they'll specify usually like where, or if they haven't specified, I'm like, where did you find me? And I'll go back through my LinkedIn page. I'm like, you visited my page on this date. Like, you did that. And if you are a military veteran or active duty, you can get a pro account on LinkedIn for free.
Oh, wow.
So,
cool.
Google it, because I don't remember the link, but like Google it, but they'll give you the free whatever as a thank you for your service. But that way you get to see exactly who's looking at your profile. You can follow them back. You can shoot them a message. You can do, and so my marketing has kind of shifted to being LinkedIn focused rather than being so LinkedIn and Twitter, but rather than being so spread out, because I had this wide net where I was getting projects from all over the place. Now I'm like, the LinkedIn post has to be stellar because Disney sent, you know what I mean? Like big things are sending me things. And I was like, oh, what's going on? And so it's like LinkedIn. So
You're not the only person who said LinkedIn. Yeah.
So even after all of this, after this roster and everything else, you're still not represented.
I know. And the reason for that is where I left off, I don't know that I had either professional demo done. I think the last time. I have my character demo and I'm waiting on my commercial demo. Unfortunately, my engineers had like a series of life events. And so I am 100% understanding about it. And I'm just sort of like, I can't submit to anyone without the commercial demo. And I'm okay with being in a holding pattern because my career is still significantly progressing without it. Something that's been super valuable, networking. I would love to spend a second talking about what networking is and why.
Yes, please explain.
So that is both repulsive and scary at the same time. Because you're treating people like an asset. You're treating people like a stepping stone. Like that's what this implications are. Like, oh, your network. Like you're gonna like, oh, you're in my network now. I'm gonna use you. No. So what networking is building personal one-on-one relationships with a bunch of people. Like your mom's in your network, your best friend's in your network. Your kids are in your network, like whatever, you know what I mean? Because they're going to have different life experiences and opportunities. And then you're just building out where you're like, okay, my acquaintances, my fellow castmates on other projects, the engineer that I worked with on that one thing, and just making sure you kind of keep in touch organically. You don't have to really force it. But again, by putting your stuff out there pretty regularly, it keeps all of those people within your visibility. You specifically commenting on interesting things that they're doing, like take an interest in other people, but not in the way where you're like, oh, I don't know that person, but I'm going to like send them a direct message. I'm not trying to say don't send people direct messages with questions or anything like that. Like that's also totally valid. But what I mean is, if they're doing something that you think is cool, just tell them you think it's cool. Like comment on their thing and go like, that's really amazing. You never know when someone's going to click on your profile and go, oh, they have a demo, click, and then they're like, oh, that's really good. Or like, hey, that's like, I have something coming up. You never know what's going to happen. So trusting that you already have a network, just being a decent human being.
Surprising, right?
Like, don't act a fool and trust that. Yeah. I also spent a lot of time trying to get other people opportunities when I'm not somebody else's agent. I'm not responsible for anyone else's career other than mine.
Right.
But when I join a project and they're like, hey, we're going to have another casting call. And I'm like, hey, I actually know 2 people that I think would be perfect for these roles. Pull your friends in, pull people that you know, even castmates that you didn't know so well, but you be that like secondary, activate your casting director brain. Pull people in, they'll remember that. And this isn't like a tit for tat, haha, I'll do this so they get me something. But like a rising tide lifts all boats. Like bring your friends up, bring your colleagues up with you. Yeah. And that's literally what happened with this Dallas move was like, I never anticipated someone reaching back out to me to go, hey, I would love to have you in this group. Would you move to Dallas? And I was like, yes, like I have to, but like that's what happened was that I was helping this person just with their career on and off, and they were like, hey, that being said, don't force yourself to be like, I am the new voiceover guru, and here's all of like, if you have things to contribute. If you don't, just be supportive. People love cheerleaders, man. Like, just be a supportive, good person.
I will be the English cheerleader in the background here today. That's my role for today.
It's funny that you mentioned that because that would never have been even crossed my mind. It's just saying, hey, great job and everything else could lead to that type of connection. Because everybody doesn't really give that validation to people. And again, it just goes back to being human, which is, for some reason, I just never saw it that way.
Leave a review under something, guys. It's how it happens.
Well, and don't get me wrong. How I met Renara was very similar. It's like, hey, I want to start this process. I worked with Renara before. It's like, hey, I'd love to bring in your point of view into this. And then poof, here we are 3 years later. 2 years later.
Many years later. It was that feeling like you said, Erin, that kind of like that sort of little tug moment of, this is meant to happen right now, if you know what I mean. Kind of like something. That was me when Zamoody reached out to me to do this, and I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I've never used Twitch. I don't know what this is, but this feels correct. This feels right, and I'm going to take a leap of faith here and say yes. And now look what's happened, and I'm here in a blanket.
And look at this. Like, look at what happened. And you've got your own projects that you're also pulling people that are in your network that you met through this project. Like, it spirals, but it's not. It's not shady, and it's not skeezy, and it's not bad. It's joyful.
It's supportive.
Because you're forming real connections with people. And what I found from now working in the professional industry on multiple things is that the networking has always been the most important part. And it starts now. Like what I mean is, and I say now, not knowing where the listeners are coming from, but like what I mean is you've already got a network. Don't tap people. Just be there. Just be present and be a good contributor. And like I do believe that work, not only does work beget work, but like kindness begets kindness.
100%. Yep.
Ooh, well, that was actually a big bombshell of information there. So thank you for that. Yeah. I know you do other duties outside of the voice acting. Do you want to talk about your other activities?
Sure. So again, kind of the networking has led to, I did some work. I'm still kind of doing some work as a casting director for All In Localization, which is a video game dubbing company out of China. And through that, I've become a voice director for some of those games, which is has in itself been life-changing. Changing. I've started studying directing. I'm pretty passionate about it. It is not my true passion. My true passion is the voice work, the acting in itself. But the perspective of the actor is also, I'm finding, so valuable to the perspective of the director. And a lot of the best directors they're not necessarily, but are also have been actors at some point. I'll bring up, we're going to circle it to Gargoyles. Jonathan Frakes does a ton of directing now. He's so passionate about it. And it was from some of his observations as working as an actor where he felt that like pull to do it. And I do feel like I'm being pulled in that direction. A bunch of new opportunities for me as a director have started to come up, not just through the casting, but I've switched into, this wasn't last week's news, but the prior week, I finally launched my official private coaching program.
Ooh,
awesome.
Thank you guys. This is so exciting. I've been developing a program for the last year that combines my senior military experience with my knowledge of the current voice acting industry landscape, but really just entertainment industry in general. So if your goal is to direct, to script adapt, to be a sound engineer, what this program does is it takes all of the tools that they teach throughout the military and it gives them to you and it tailors them to your journey. And it's sort of me empowering you moving forward from this point on, you know, what your goals are, like what your top end goals are, where you're going, the immediate next step, like, okay, like literally I can get off this call and I'm going to go start doing this thing. And it gives you like the next 3 to 6 months worth of goals that now that you have a process, you know, the process that the military teaches people, you break them down yourself. Like, I'm here to help. I'm still here to help. But like the purpose of the program, which is called the Fresh Start Coaching Program, it's geared is to empower you with the tools to live your own journey. And the way I say it is because freelancing is so nebulous. Like freelancing, there's no guide. There's no like how to be a freelancer. There's nebulous things that we all need to have, especially as actors, right? Recording setup, check. Competitive acting skills, number 1, like check. Marketing and branding information, social media knowledge, finances and business, like things that just as a freelancer and specifically as a voice actor, you're just going to have. The program addresses where you're at every stage and just sets some next step goals to level up each one of those processes. And you leave with this sheet where you're like, here you go. And I'm like, I'm still here if you want to consult with me. But like, if you take this and you just succeed like a rocket ship, awesome. Like, go for it.
Yeah.
And it's all based off of my experience as a senior non-commissioned officer in the military, because they taught us how to teach and train and cultivate future leaders. And so I was sitting there with this huge skill set doing nothing. I was like,
use it.
I was assistant teaching for the for Crispin Freeman's voice acting mastery program. But like as my own background in leadership goes, I was like, I was missing that mentorship. And so now I'm doing it and it's working and I'm so excited.
That's awesome.
So this is kind of a different type of coaching, because normally coaching is like, we'll listen to, this is how you can improve this performance and everything else, but you're not doing that. You're looking at it as a person. How do we move on?
Right.
You've got the skill set you need here. Here's how you can apply it.
Yes. So I basically break down, I have you come to session with between 1 and 5 goals, and I can get through all 5 goals within the time frame. It's an hour and a half session. We start at the goals. We figure out what's really motivating you at like your deepest core level, which is why it's a private session and not
But you don't have 20 people in a session.
Yeah. And it's not something I post anywhere else, but I also can't teach it in like en masse because it's not going to be as effective as if I sit there and you have the time to work through this process. And I do a process that the military teaches to get to that core motivation. So you can then apply that process to any goal in your life. And then now that we know where we're coming from and where we figure out where we want to go, we have that. We have the end point. We have the base starting point. How do we get to everything in the middle? And I teach you the goal system that the military teaches. And then I break it down so that you understand exactly why we did all that hard work in the beginning. Because the inner work is the hardest work. We do the hard work in the beginning to get to this and healthy, manageable, attainable timelines. Like, not overwhelming yourself, not focused on burnout, acknowledging that you are a full human being that has other life things going on, and how you can still progress constantly, but in a healthy way.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well,
I'm literally sat here going, yes. Oh my God. Yes. Okay.
Tell me more.
So if anybody's interested in signing up for this, where can they go to get that information?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So it's on my website, Erinnicolelundquist.com/coaching. And if you just go to the main page, it's on the header as well. And I break down a little bit about the benefits of the program and what you get, but I just kind of said it, as well as my background in education, because I have a whole background in educating people. And so I kind of go on why I'm not some rando that's trying to teach you something.
Right. And I mean, obviously you're not detracting from those coaches that are out there. This is kind of a supplement to taking those other coaches.
And in fact, so I actually recommend a lot of other coaches in the program. I feel out, because we get so deep into who you are and what you want, I literally have recommended people. I was like, you'd work really well with Morgan Berry. You'd work really well with Crispin Freeman. You know what? You need Richard Horvitz. Like, I'm not there. Sometimes I go, and this has only happened, I think, a couple times. I've been like, I think you and I could work together really well if you did want to explore branding, if you did want to, because again, the military teaches you a lot about branding, about LinkedIn, some more technical aspects of that. But I do have a background in coaching actors already. And so there are some levels where I'm like, you know what, we can work together, but I can work with you to a point, and then I do want to move you to essentially a higher level coach, because I am booking professional level work, but there are those who have been booking professional level work for 20 years. And I am a big believer of, you don't necessarily need to go to and pay the money for some of the top level coaches when you're still learning the ABCs of acting. There are other, and I'll recommend workshops. I'll be like, hey, closing credits, voice acting 101, really great for breath control. And I've done a lot of research, both firsthand by taking some of these courses, even if I didn't need to, because one, you always learn something, so you never know. But also I've been like, oh, this would be great for my students for this. Oh, this would be great for my students for this. And I've kept track of that. That was part of my 1-year journey, is taking a ton of workshops from a ton of sources so that I could refer people to avenues. And I don't get paid by any of these people to do that. I just literally just want people to succeed.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, very, very cool. Surprisingly, we're down to the last couple minutes here, so I want to make sure that our co-hosts have time to ask questions.
We covered the professional stuff we wanted to cover. That was
Yay!
it.
Yes.
Summarizing improvement. It's
Yes. Anything else that you feel like we need to cover, co-hosts?
Has your pizza topping choice changed since the last time we spoke? I can't ask what your favorite pizza topping is anymore, because our last guest gave the perfect answer, so I'm retiring that question.
I don't remember what I said last time, but
I'll have to check.
Now that I live on my own, I get so many mushroom pizzas, like it's not even funny.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. I used to live with people who everybody else hated mushrooms, and I was like banished from my favorite topping, and now I'm like mushrooms in everything.
Thriving in it.
Very nice.
That's
Someone
fantastic.
who likes mushrooms on their pizza. Yay!
Actually, I was just for shits and giggles, really. You want to tell us about any new projects you've been on that you can tell us about, anyways?
Yeah, so I'm really excited actually about some of the audio dramas that have been releasing recently. Super Suits by Faustian Nonsense is like this all-star cast of the indie plus those who are straddling the indie and professional worlds of voiceover. Huge ensemble cast. Super Suits is out now on podcast platforms everywhere, and they're on episode 3. I play one of the main characters, Cole Castillo, who is a lawyer who represents superheroes in a superpowered world. So this whole thing covers the lawyers that have to deal with the legal fallout from just existing in a superhero.
I love that.
Oh, wow.
It's not a rom-com. It's a sitcom. It's a true sitcom, so it's very funny. And then the Technomancy project, which I think I talked about last time because I think they had just wrapped season 1, is now fundraising for season 2 on Seed and Spark. So all of season 1 is out there, but there have been some changes for season 2. They've hired some like top tier actors to step in, and like this is a team working out of Los Angeles, and so they're fundraising to expand the cast and to expand the team in general to really make season 2 even better than season 1, which I already love. And that's I play Allie Watts, who's a special agent who investigates aliens, the supernatural, paranormal. But it's like a ragtag. It's again kind of sitcom-y where you're like it's a ragtag group of people. So if you're into that more supernatural dark stuff, this is the Technomancy project is super good for you.
Nice. And again, this is a podcast that's available, or
it's another podcast available on platforms everywhere. Yep. Nice.
Has your favorite role that you've done updated since the last time we talked?
I don't remember what I said. I actually think I talked about Allie and Cole because Cole, who I think I did talk about these people because I love them. I don't think it has updated. I think I'm still on with Cole. I'm still in Cole and Allie's corner.
Well, good. Sure. Podcasts are a great thing to listen to if you're on the job and you have an opportunity to do so. Please, pull them up and right after you listen to the show, go ahead and grab them. Grab Super Suits, you said, which is one of the newer ones. And then the second one was?
The Technomancy Project.
That sounds awesome.
Both of which will be listed in the description below.
There we go. So thank you again, Erin, for providing. I swear I could talk to you for another hour.
Seriously.
Yeah, I can literally just snuggle in a blanket and just sit and listen to Erin.
I feel like we're all sitting here like children, around their grandmother who's telling them a story. Please, one more, Grandma.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to have hijacked the show so much into parent talk, because I know, my two co-hosts here aren't in that direction, but
I think it's important for the listeners to hear too, almost. In case you are not a child-free person, which I support that movement as well. Like, I'm not into that. When are you having kids? Like, get out of that. It's none of your business. Don't ask people that question ever.
It's appreciated.
But I do think it's important for people to know you can do both. You can be a parent and you can be a professional voice actor. But sometimes in your career, you will see a give and take. Up until I'm like proof of that. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, again, thank you again. We appreciate your time. If you've been here, if you've been listening, we appreciate obviously a like if you have an opportunity to give. So feel free to give us a follow too. We'd love to have you as part of the community. If you have any questions, anything you want to talk about, please email us, ColdReadthePodcast@gmail.com, ColdReadthePodcast@gmail.com, or join our Discord. The link is in the description. Come on in. We're all hanging out. We all see the chat. So feel free to just come in, say hi, tell us where you came from, and give us an opportunity to get to meet you. If you have any audio you want us to listen to or anything that you want, we all have that audio that we're like, is this good? Is this not good? How can I improve? Send it over. We'd love to hear it. We wanted that opportunity to help you grow, because that's the whole point of this show.
Should I put my very first American accent for Erin to hear? Shall I find that somewhere and put that in there so everyone can hear how awful it was to start with? And I think where we are now. So yeah, look, it's hard. I don't know how you guys speak, but it's hard. I'm getting there.
I've only got 2 languages, so that's it's hard enough to keep one straight. So I don't want to have to worry about accents or anything else. So, gosh, my train just derailed. I apologize, team. So next week is going to be Renara. Renara's got the next intro.
It won't be a massive, big, epic thing because Grim's not here to help me. So it'll be. I will probably be playing off of the grandma sitting in a comfy chair, giving like Auntie Ren's advice. Who knows?
New segment, Auntie Ren, coming soon. This sounds great. That's what I wanted to say. Don't forget that we did launch community intros.
Yeah.
So if you are part of the community and you want to submit an intro, we'd love to hear it. We'll have somebody else and then we'll play them and we'll go from there. So don't be afraid. Let's do affirmations at the end. We'll start with Eldurrino, not to put you on the spot.
Don't drink a bunch of water and coffee before recording an hour-long show. I'm sorry. That was terrible.
No,
I mean, it was great advice, but not related. Don't ever give up on pursuing your dreams, because sometimes you forget that you even had a dream in the first place. But then after you work on it, it turns into something fruitful. So keep chasing your goals.
I like that. Renara?
No matter how bumpy or how dismal or how rocky the road seems in the present moment, when you look back on that moment, you'll go, holy shit, I survived that. I can survive anything else this shit throws at me. So similarly to what Eldurrino says, even if it looks really rubbish right now, don't give up. Keep doing small little bits, even if it is just standing in the booth, just being in that environment and not doing anything but getting yourself in that environment again. Because trust me, dragging myself out of bed today was hard, but I still bloody did it. And today has been lovely, because the end of the day has been lovely. So yeah.
I will also echo a lot of that and say, and again, I'm going to be talking to myself, is regardless of what life throws at you, like Eldurrino said, get in there and do it.
Yeah.
Erin, you want to throw one at us?
I do. Well, I'm going to keep the ball rolling. We'll just say it gets better. It can't help but get better. So as long as you believe it gets better, it will get better. And everything is preparing you for that next step. Sometimes you don't exactly see what's going on in the moment, but it gets better.
I love it. All right, everybody, let's go ahead and take off. Everybody give us a micro. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye. Drink water.
There it is.